Hey guys, got the modern Williams here, and I have the modern razor. This is a recent creation by Yaqi, and it's inspired by the Gibbs razor, a French one from a long time ago. We'll be using the Nacet again. Looks like 476 is today's count. And the Semogue Owners Club, I used all of August. Well, let's use it one more time because I'm going to be using that slurry lather method again that I came up with, that I just happened upon in August. I tried it once already. Let's try it again. I've had this guy soaking for a while, so he's good. This was a gift by Michael Friedberg, and I did a review on it, a little first impression video on it. And one thing I didn't mention was the Heritage Collection is a company where they are taking old brushes, the old handles, and refurbishing them. Wait, are they actually refurbishing the old handles, or are they creating brand new handles with the exact same measurements as the old? I can't remember, but they look exactly the same as the old. I think he's actually, yeah, I think he's making new handles. It's just the old designs and even the old detail work, the logos, things like that. He got the rights to use those, and some of and of course they look terrific because they're a vintage type make, and vintage colors and things like that. Michael Friedberg actually gave me one of those brushes to use and have. It's a boar that's been gelled, and I really enjoy it a lot. And so too bad I don't have that brush to use, because I'm going to be using the Yaqi lather bowl that he sent. Oh no, I'm not, because I'm doing that slurry lather method. All right. Well, anyway, Heritage Collection also decided to, in terms of replicas and things like that, to do a replica of the Gibbs, and it looks very similar to this because they're both based off the Gibbs. Now theirs is really more of a dead-on copy of the Gibbs, and there's nothing wrong with that legally speaking because it's an old thing that's passed away, you know. Whereas this one is a slightly, different version, but it's the same kind of head design, same principles, and the shave is really close as well. It's very, very good. With my first shave of this guy, I used a PermaSharp blade, and it was tremendous. Loved the shave. Smooth while being still very efficient. That's what I like best about the Gibbs. And this one I like the balance better because my Gibbs has a plastic handle, and this one has a brass handle. The Heritage Collection, at first when I remembered, and Michael Friedberg reminded me about the Heritage Collection, I thought, oh, is Yaqi ripping off the Heritage Collection like they've done other vendors, kind of taking their stuff, undercut their prices, that kind of thing? And no, I don't think so, because the Heritage Collection one, it has a brass handle as an option, like this one does, but it's zinc alloy as well. And so if it were stainless or brass, some of the parts, now not all of it is zinc alloy, but some, I'm guessing some of the parts in the head are zinc alloy because it's just easier to manufacture. Well, I'm definitely going to pay to get the Yaqi version that has the zinc alloy type head, and pay about half as much. Especially when this you can't really say that this is a rip-off of the Heritage Collection one, because it's not. It's just it doesn't seem to be, because this is just using the Gibbs as inspiration, just like the Heritage, whereas the Heritage is using this Gibbs as the exact kind of thing, So I do like to have a little bit of ethical decision making come into play when I choose equipment and stuff, but I don't think that's I don't think here I care about, I don't think they're stealing from Heritage Collection. And likewise, I don't think this bowl is close enough to Pereira's bowl to think that they're trying to steal from Pereira either. It's different enough, and the price is not too much different, so they're not really undercutting. All right, let me get my face wet. Why don't we go ahead and put the Nacet on the razor, identifying markings. And yes, so the first shave was with a more normal blade with this razor, and now we're going to put it in with an old blade. The blade does line up nicely with the top cap, but it is possible that the top cap could seat incorrectly as you tighten it down, and so I like to squeeze them together and kind of wiggle it to center everything up, and that seems to work quickly and well. Now, when I first shaved with this razor, I had it at a 3, and I think between the 3 and the 2 is probably going to be my home, my enjoyable place with this razor with normal blades. But I think we're going to have to bump it up with the Nacet. Why don't we start with a, well, shoot, why don't we just start with a 6? That's the highest setting. Actually, you can turn it further. You can actually turn it to where it goes all the way back around to a 3. But I'm just going to do a 6 as the max. How does that look in terms of exposure? Yeah, it's definitely a positive exposure. And that is a lot of gap as well. That you probably can't tell. Maybe you can with that, but that's a lot of gap. And so I'm going to be careful and cautious. Now let's back off. Let's take it down to a 5 instead of a 6, because honestly, there's just so much gap there. That's crazy. Wow. Makes me think I should go back down to like a 4 or something. Let's just try it at a 5. And if it's too much, I'll back it off. All right. So the soap is Williams. It's the modern version of Williams. Has been discontinued, as many of us already know. I'm going to be using the slurry lather method with it. Describe that more as we go. I have the City Slicker as the aftershave, and won't be wearing a cologne after the shave today. 476 is the count for today's shave with the Nacet. And we are shaving off over a day's growth, actually 2 days of growth here. And so we are going to be asking a lot of the Nacet today, and it's probably going to be a little on the tuggy side. Let me get my face wet. Now, the principle behind the slurry lather method, I call it slurry because I feel like I'm working with a soap and water slurry instead of a lather, because I'm not letting it come together fully. That's the whole point. And I'm going to I did soak the puck just for a few minutes with just a little bit of lukewarm water. I'm going to load for maybe 20 seconds. I'm going to shake out a lot of the water. 45, 44, we'll start with that. So that means we'll go to 64, which is 04 on the next minute. And I'm using a kind of a swivel type rotating motion because, as you can tell, this is kind of a narrow cup. So you have to be kind of twisty about it instead of just doing standard circles. Okay, so there we go. We've got, lots of visible soap. And then with this wet brush, we'll just kind of start to work it in. And what I may do is start to add a little bit of water already, because what the slurry lather method deals with is just a lot of water at first. See, this is sudsing up a lot quicker than the chiseled face. This method really produced a lather from chiseled face that I enjoyed. The kind of slickness was superior. All right, there we go. This does not work on your face for very long in terms of if you're trying to get everything absorbed into your skin and your hairs, your stubble, that sort of thing. It doesn't give an opportunity for that. But the slickness was just crazy good. All right. Level 5. That's very aggressive. I'll take it down to a 4. That's more manageable. tuggy. So tomorrow's shave will be with this and it will be a more appropriate stubble length instead of this extra today. This is very tuggy. Matter of fact, I think I might just take it down to a 3. That's more manageable. I feel in less danger. Yeah, I like the slickness. Get a little water here. With the chiseled face, you could barely see any of the soap on the brush at first. And then the lather was quite slow to, even the slurry was quite slow to develop. And you can see how wet this is, how easy it's just throwing itself all over the room. Okay. This is more normal. Whew. This does not model after the Gibbs in the sense of its chosen range. Its allowable range of adjustment. With the Gibbs, I could clock it up to 5 out of 6 and still enjoy a comfy, smooth shave. That is not what this thing gives you. And in a sense, it's good because there are guys who, plenty of people who want a shave that is more aggressive. I think 3 might be where I need to stick with this one, which is so funny, the same setting for both a normal blade and a marathon blade. So Heritage Collection had their Gibbs replica as a pre-order, and apparently as I checked their website today, it wasn't available anymore as a pre-order. So when they're done making it, they did say they're going to have some for sale individually that weren't part of the pre-order. And so if you're interested in that, you could maybe get one of those. But I have a hard time, and I think $60, $65 was the price. And they had different handle options. They had brass handles, kind of like this one. They had aluminum handles that were black. They had a long brass handle version. They even had a quad pack where you got all 4 different handle options that they had. This knurling is getting a little slippery with lather, but not too bad. I would prefer it to be a little more secure, but I guess if you're going to err, I'd rather you err on the side of comfort, because all you have to do is just make sure you wash the soap off if it just gets too bad. A little water on my face. So I could kind of consider that first pass as a, let's just clear off the extra. And so then the second pass is really more like the first of a normal 24-hour duration shave. So now, so we're still dealing with that, 20-second load. We are getting skimpy. I can dip back into the mug there, and that revives the lather a bit. It feels nice on my face, the slickness of the soap and the brush as well. How does yeah, that's very slick. If you are interested in using Williams, if you have a stockpile, this is a valid technique. Just keep it really wet like that. You don't have to wait around and try to whip it up into complete lather. Maybe one more pass just for fun. The water. Very happy with the slickness here. So it's a quick way to put together your shaving experience with Williams. It gives you a slick lather. So I think that is a valid choice. Matter of fact, a lot of people gripe at Williams just because it can dissipate. Well, this is not going to dissipate. It's so wet. And you've got a nice kind of slickness here. And Williams can also be kind of airy if you mix it up sometimes. I don't know what type of mixing process tends to do that, but this of course prevents that as well. So success with the slurry lather, and I kept just adding water to it. I still have a little bit of lather here. Matter of fact, if I wanted to do one more pass, look at that good stuff right there. So, I mean, that's plenty of lather to do the job. And it feels terrific in terms of slickness. So this has got to be what our forefathers that were using Williams. This is because it's fast. It's very slick. You know, the only thing it lacks is it doesn't give you a lot of brush time with your face, if that's a priority for you, because maybe you've got a nice brush that you want to enjoy. But, you know, there we go. Yeah, I'm happy with it. I do have a nice close shave. It was pretty funky that I started off pretty severe and ended up right back with the same setting I used with a normal blade. I think it's because of the fact that you do, when you bump it up to 4, 5, or 6, you do get into a pretty big gap. It's the threading, you know, on the inside of the adjuster here it could be a little finer. If it was, then moving up to the next level wouldn't be as big of a jump. And but I think that in a way that's cool, because a lot of people are going to be able to use this razor because the setting of 1 is super mild. It sure looks like the setting of 5 and 6 is super aggressive, lots of exposure. And so you do get infinite adjustments. So if I like the land of 3 and 2 and somewhere in between, then you can kind of pick 2.5 or 2 1/4 without a problem. I didn't have any problems with the adjuster moving as I worked the shave as well. So that's a good thing too. So let us do the City Slicker Splash. So the principle behind the slurry method is you're bringing in a lot of water, as we discussed, with a little bit of soap, working it together a little bit. It's not a face lathering as far as what most people do with face lathering. They're coming in with a lot of soap and then they add water as needed. Where with this one, I didn't quite need to add too much water. For guys who come at a soap with a very wet brush, it kind of resembles more that kind of thing. And as you can see, it's super hydrated because it leaks out and drips. And so that early slurry, bubbly lather thing is really slick. All right, well, there we go. That's today's shave. I continue to enjoy this boar brush, the Semogue Owners Club with the Taj handle. And It's just terrific. Hey, in the mail recently, I got these seasonal bath soaps that I had ordered, Sweet Pecan, and the soaps are pretty much as big as these boxes. There's just maybe 1 or 2 millimeters of gap, but they're exactly this size. There's not a wasted space in there, even up here at the corners. It's a big rectangle block. And this has a terrific gourmand pecan pie type scent. Oh, it's true to life. I'm a big pecan pie fan, and this gets it done. Burgundy is named after Ron Burgundy of the Anchorman movie fame, and it's got kind of a classic cologne kind of vibe to it. Well, why don't I just show you what one of these soaps looks like? As you can see, it is just a big old block. And so, Burgundy. I'm looking forward to using that in the shower. They had good sales on these as well, so I took advantage of that. Works well. I've bought some about every year, and I like them a lot. Well, there we go. That's today's shave. The Nacet performed in the Yaqi adjustable, and I think the name they gave to this razor officially is Final Cut on their website. Let me give this razor, the blade, a rinse there, and then I'm going to pat it dry carefully on a hand towel there. And then, of course, we're going to give these bits a good drying so that alloy doesn't become problematic later. Well, there we go. I think I'm happy with this Williams. I think that's a very valid and pretty easy to instruct people in terms of doing this kind of lather with Williams. A lot of people think of it as tricky, and I'm confident that there are other guys out here that do this with Williams. This is not anything new, but in all my looking, I never really found anything like this kind of slurry lather method. And so that's why it was kind of news to me. And it works very well with the chiseled face, old school tallow that they have. It works tremendously well with that. And as I mentioned, it's slower to work on the face. As I start, it's invisible, and it takes a while for the suds to start kind of activating. And but it was a little bit different than with this, because that was with the chiseled face soap when it was quite used up. It had been used for several days in a row, so it's easy to pick up the soap right away. Where this Williams, I just pulled it out of the closet kind of thing. And that's why I loaded for a lot longer with this one. So, but it worked out. I had enough lather till the end of the shave, and as you saw, 4 or 5 passes, no problem. Rejuvenated the lather with some sprinkles of water as needed. Good time. Good time. All right. Thank you so much for watching. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Good night.